Hello, hello. If you could use my phone, I have to snap a couple pictures for work. You know how that works.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. All right. Perfect. Hey everyone, my name's Alicia Cooper Wells. I'm known as Miss Cooper Home Loans. As I talk, if you guys have any questions, feel free. This doesn't have to be like a strict lecture. If you have questions, raise your hand, blurt it out. I probably have an answer, or I can get you pointed in the right direction to get you to where you're trying to go. I want to say thank you for you guys even being willing to hear me speak um, and be in front of you today. My name, as I mentioned, Alicia Cooper Wells. This is my email address if you want to reach out to me after this. I'm with Dover Federal Credit Union. And a little bit about my story. I started as a single mom right over here in East Side in Rivers Common. And, you know, at a place in my life, dropped out of school, didn't really know what steps I was going to be able to make it through. And I like to fast forward to the end because then you'll probably listen to my story. So if I tell you what I do now, I own over 100 properties, both commercial real estate and residential real estate. I didn't come from a trust fund, so I had to really learn how money worked. And by learning how money worked, it did allow me to get into real estate, but with a main focus of finance. So what navigates me in making my decisions has a lot to do with credit and can I afford it, right? So unfortunately, I look, like you said, black girl magic now, but not a lot of my houses do, right? So I invest in areas that I can afford. So I own properties in Flint, Michigan. I own properties in Chester, Pennsylvania. So I don't want anybody to think it's about where you start, right? We all have a starting point, and one of my things I love to say, it's not about where you start, it's about the steps you take to rise above it. So it was a consistent journey and a lot of sacrifice. So this isn't one of those feel-good stories that I got to just enjoy my life along the way. It was hard. You know, excuse my French, it was fucking hard. I made a lot of sacrifices. I remember for a long time, my friends would make fun of me because I didn't have furniture in my living room. We sat in chairs just like this in my living room while I was trying to make a decision on how I was going to move forward in order to get out of the situation that I was in. And one of the biggest and hardest steps was that first step. And that first step for me was taking a dollar raise at work and then losing my services, my child care, my Medicaid. We all know $1 an hour do not make up the difference of no health insurance and child care. So it was a really tough decision to take that dollar raise in my life because I'm like, hold on. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't a completely stress-free path. You know, my son at that time, he's 20 now, so that tells you how long this story's been. But he was about 5 years old, and I remember he would have to like let himself in. And for 30 minutes, I'd be like, don't go to the door. Don't you answer that door. Your Easy Mac is in the microwave. I already set the timer. Just hit start. Get started on your homework. And by the time you finish your homework, I should be coming through that door, right? But that was a lot of stress and pressure. And more than anything, it was embarrassing. I had an embarrassing story. One of my girlfriends, she had a headache. She was like, yo, can I just take a nap at your crib? I'm like, sure, the door's open. Not even thinking, right? And then she's like, yo, do you know your son's in here by himself? I was like, fuck. No, I didn't know. You know, because it was a point I couldn't even explain to the people around me really what I was trying to do because it really made no sense. The taking the dollar an hour raise made no sense. Then you said I'm telling your life. Yeah. The dollar made no sense. Him getting home by himself because at that time my son's father was incarcerated, so I had no help, no support. My parents had moved to Georgia, and I come from a very close-knit, tight-knit family. And if you see us now, we are that. But there was a period of time where they left me by myself, and I felt like life was over. And through that that dollar an hour raise actually allowed me to buy one of the properties through these buildings. Used to be MBNA, Bank of America, if y'all remember. And they had employee housing on King Street. And when they moved out, they put all those houses up for sale. That was the first house that I bought. And when I was time to buy the house, I'm gonna tell the truth, I wasn't ready. I remember I was packing up, my son was sitting on the door of the dishwasher, and I was like, I would break his face if he sat on the door of our dishwasher in our new house, because who's gonna fix that? So I realized not only I had been working to prepare myself mentally and financially to make this step, but I had not been preparing my son to be able to take that next step with me. So I want you guys to write that down, that even though you may not be sharing your journey with your friends or your girlfriends, don't forget to overlook the part that your kids play in this. And you have to have a communication level with them too, because they will pull you down, right? Like, we all know the forces to pull us back into that trap is real. And it hurts really bad when it comes from the people around us, but sometimes it's the part we played in not communicating with them on the information that we've gotten, so that they can start to gradually put it in place too. So that's what we did, and I had already actually closed on this house. So I went to the Wilmington Housing Authority and I told them, y'all can take this house back. I ain't ready. I'm gonna stay over here in Chadwick at the time and we're gonna figure it out. And they were like, no, we'll help you get a tenant. So I ended up with a tenant. Now, they know I own another property, so I no longer get the subsidized rate on my rent. So I'm working really, really hard. It took me about 3 years in order to get to the point where